What? Preach it! Comic books! Froggy! That's me new catchphrase. You can buy it on a t-shirt for $30. Postage not included. This is Steel Superman in Superman of Steel Annual number 2. This is another chapter of that awful crossover that I ate called Blood Ties. The one where they introduce boring new characters that fail to catch on. I cannot remember which member of the Spunk Brigade mentioned this. I think it was Billy Joel from Green Day. He very much started this fire. He had a very good criticism of this, which I failed to mention in the Superboy one, and I think it is even more enormous a problem here. These annuals, the Blood Ties crossover, it was obviously happening as the Superman books were doing the whole range of a Superman stuff with the replacement Supermans. And this annual in particular, this is like Steel Superman's 4th appearance. And rather than focus on this new character that is actually interesting, his first story away from the larger range of a Superman thing is focusing on this dog-shite new character with knives for skin. What's alarming about this one is I think this is actually part 1 of the crossover. I think this is the opening salvo of Blood Ties. We start off with the shitty shape-shifty xenomorphs crash landing on Earth in a big double splash page. And this is a really crappy first part of your story. It is a crappy story all around, but God, this is just crap. These villains, they just throw them out there. None of them are interesting. None of them will ever be interesting. But for the entirety of the crossover, the writers and editors, they think that these aliens and their interpersonal dynamics and their power plays against each other, they are important parts of each chapter they tell over all 20 or so annuals that tie into this crossover. I am sure I will have dived into why these bad guys are rubbish. Not just that they are boring, but they are not used right. And on an ideas front, I would say that their two components are at war with each other. You have got xenomorphs. Xenomorphs are great. You have a terrifying horror action monster alien. You don't have to weave stories or motivation around that really. You can just throw them out there after heroes and have creepy tense stories or big superhero fights with an alien. But then you also have the shape-shifty element. You can see them transforming into human disguises. I guess this is meant to extend the horror and add this whole idea that they look like us and how do we know who we can trust. But that isn't necessary. They are monsters. That's the part most people would latch on to. They are already scary enough, and giving them human form, well, it completely neuters the other part of it. That they are monster aliens that suck off your spine. You're taking away one of the few positives you can say about these shite baddies, and that is that a creepy alien sucking off a person's spine, that is an effective and exciting image. That could work as a baddie for a crossover. What doesn't work is these bland, scheming masterminds in disguise as boring people who never accomplish anything, and every part features them bickering amongst themselves and then having their latest temporary plan foiled by whatever random hero is nearby that time. And then we get to the other shit thing about this crossover. Having these paper-thin, crap, counterintuitive new villains. It wasn't enough for blood ties. Each individual part sets up and debuts an exciting new superpowered character who receives their powers after a run-in with our crappy alien baddies. These new heroes are shite, and there's only like 3 of them who ever appear again, and only 1 of them that anyone cares to remember. This annual, it gives us a character who not only doesn't appear again, but he is hogging page time from an actually interesting new character, Steel Superman. This is one of his first appearances. I think before this he had only been featured in a single issue, Superman of Steel issue 21. He also had a 4 or 5 page teaser, which was his first appearance in Adventurers of Superman 500. And I think he appears on like a monitor screen or something in another comic. But my point is, we still didn't have Steel Superman nailed down as a character. We didn't have a great handle on who he is. And we're getting all this time devoted to setting up this new character whose gimmick is that his skin is made of knives. Here we have got a whole scene with Knifeblade. I honestly didn't remember his name. It might actually be Knifeblade. This is Knifeblade's little brother. This is all here to establish and set up Knifeblade as a cool big brother. And Steel Superman, he's just there to facilitate this. Then we have got one of the boring xenomorphs sucking off a spine. And then a scene with Knifeblade's mom. It's a scene completely independent from Steel Superman or the xenomorphs. The book is that hardcore into pushing Knifeblade that we get a whole scene with his mom. Also, it has tarot cards. I have got a rule that any comic that features tarot cards is automatically awful. But this comic was already awful without them. One thing I will say in Knifeblade's defence, he does actually have a heroic moment that leads to his creation. It doesn't make him a better character, but it is a better attempt at trying to endear the character to readers more than anything else we see in this crossover. He tries to save a would-be victim from one of the boring aliens, and then he ends up having his spine sucked off, and this is what gives him his superpowers. It's not very well explained, that's the other thing. The idea is that there's a certain blood gene or something like that makes select people gain powers when they get sucked off by the aliens. So Steel Superman, he gets involved looking for Knifeblade since he has gone missing. Steel Superman receives no characterization or personality on this quest. And then Knifeblade, he develops his superpower, and his power is that his skin is knives now. He has knives on his skin. That's shit, isn't it? That's really bad. That's like one of them disposable joke characters that Spike Milligan would introduce in Excellent Force. A bloke whose skin is knives and he shoots knives and shite like that. This is not a good character. It's a silly idea and a boring fella. And this annual, it could have been a great opportunity. All these Superman annuals this year. They could have been a chance to establish these new Superman characters and give them an adventure away from the main range of a Superman event. Sure, Steel Superman doing some ordinary superhero shite like fighting supervillains or whatever. But instead, the annual, it's putting all the effort into Knifeblade and Knifeblade's family. In this annual, we learn more about Knifeblade than we know about Steel Superman at this point. The rest of the annual, it's all fighting. Steel Superman, he gets his arse kicked by the boring Xenomorph. And then Knife Blade, he shows up to save the day, but he also gets to fight Steel Superman because Steel Superman is just something to throw at the baddies and never really focus on. There's some undercurrent theme about Knife Blade no longer being human, but it's hard to care. This is poor. I didn't hold it against Louise Simonson or any of the creators involved with this crossover. It's just a crap crossover with editorial mandates that just made it so that every annual was like this. A story like this. It's like that Pacemaker comic. A lot of the Blood Ties chapters are. The central character, be it Steel Superman, Superboy, Batman, whoever, they are like the least important ingredient. You could take the script for this story and just swap Steel Superman for Wonder Woman or Acroman. And other than the names, there would not need to be much else changed. So then the Xenomorph, it's back to suck off some spines, and it's going to suck off the little brother's spine. So Knife Blade and Steel Superman, they stop him or her, and I'm really just getting through this to show you how painfully long this is. There's nothing of any interest going on, and it is so long. Reading it, you get worried that it's a never-ending comic. So they beat the Xenomorph, but it's okay. That riveting villain will return in the next part of this crossover. Knife Blade. God, look at the fucking idiot. Knife Blade, he gets to say goodbye to his kid brother. He hugs him, which seems to completely undermine the point that he is now covered in knives and can it be around his family for their safety. And here is the Xenomorph swearing that its next shitty plan will work, and I guarantee it will not. I really didn't recommend this. I didn't think I will ever recommend a Blood Ties chapter. This is really a poorly planned crossover. Normally at this point when I review this crossover, I always point out that Marvel, they did the same gimmick that year and introduced new characters in their 1993 annuals. But I'm actually going to review one of them tomorrow, so I'll just say this is crap. I give it 7 thumbs up.